Good morning. This is Malcolm Nance, and welcome to Black Man Spy, the U.S. Iran Warcast, day 51. Well, day 51 should be very interesting because it's a Sunday, and we are going to talk about some interesting things that have been happening with regards to the entire US Iran war. But since it's Sunday and we have been going nonstop, we're going to try to do this show within 30 to 45 minutes instead of our usual hour and a half, which is crazy. So there have been some very remarkable things that have happened this morning with regards to President Trump and what's going on. But first, let me introduce you to our guest host, Jacob Kaarsbo, Danish intelligence officer extraordinaire, is going to a conference in Ukraine, so he's not available. And Wajeeh, the gay lion, is here with us this morning. Wajeeh, say hello while I turn off my cell phone to do not disturb.
صباح الخير صباح النور good morning ladies and gentlemen
Sabah
and all
al-ful,
non-binary.
sabah al-yasmin, ya
Well,
habibi.
I appreciate you having me here, and I always like to drop some Arabic words so people can start picking up on them. Like Americans, they use Spanglish, but they don't do Arab English, so we gotta fix that up.
Yes, they do. They speak Arabic all the time. They just don't know it, right? Any word that starts with al is Arabic, right? Alakazam, right?
Mhm.
Algebra, right? You know,
You're not
Al
wrong.
Al Bundy. All of these things are Arabic words. So anyway, and I don't have a hat this morning, so that's another thing that we need to work on. So nice pahul. I see you're keeping warm with your shawl, which is the beautiful color of the prophet. And tomorrow I will be back in Hudson, New York, in my writing office. So I'm gonna go down to the man skiff and pull out some of my cool hats for that.
Yeah.
So that being said, we got 600-ish people there. What coffee mug are you rocking today?
The Chinese stuff so far.
Mm.
Everything else is in the dishwasher. Still need
Mhm.
to turn it on.
Bro, did you go swimming? Because you're wearing swimming bone vibration headsets.
Oh
We
no, I'm
like
hard of
those.
hearing. I'm hard of hearing, so they work better.
Those are good. I've gone kayaking out in the lake. You go underwater with those things and it is full audio. They're waterproof mine. So that's good. My mug, I am still sporting the Visitors Canada mug, as you see here, because I'm still visiting Canada. So I will next time I come to Canada, that mug's going to be lethal. I'm not
Do
joking,
you
man.
have to memorize the Canadian national anthem if you want to become a Canadian citizen?
Uh, I don't know. We'll have to find that out. I don't think so. But I do think they have some questions for you. That being said, let's go ahead and start. I know we usually wait till we have about 1,000 people, but it's Sunday, and we want to try to do this one 30 minutes so all of you can get to church or to other things that you want to do. And I will take just a couple of questions today because we want to, now Jacob's taken off. Let's all take a little time off. So go ahead with the casualties. I have seen since the ceasefire's on, I have heard there is zero change in the casualty count.
There is no change in the
Then
casualty.
let's leave that at that. But there is a big change in the oil price, is there not?
Yes, so there is a big drop in future oil prices still. It dropped 10 points. And so from 93 it went to 83, and Brent crude is at 90. Murban that was at 100 yesterday is at 91.
Hmm.
And OPEC yesterday was at 112, today is at 109. Um Interestingly, though, the spot price is at $100 for today. If you are a gas station and you are buying a barrel of oil today and you're having it shipped to your gas station, that gas station will pay 100 to $120 per barrel of oil, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah, the spot price is always gonna be, crazy more, but as we see, the futures price is falling, and, like the director of the IEA, the International Energy Association, said, people are being a little overly optimistic about all of this, and they are not factoring in the fact that oil really is not around. It's not there. But people are, traders are going to trade. Let's go on to significant activities today. As you can see, there is one major factor that we are constantly following in significant activities, in that it is this. It is that we request that all of you spell the Strait of Hormuz correctly at Strait, not of Hormuz, Hormuz, as opposed to the Straight, which all of you Twitter experts who constantly criticize my 4 decades of military and intelligence experience are always correcting me that I'm misspelling Strait of Hormuz, or you're using Straight of Hormuz, which immediately nullifies your opinion, as well as the 99 followers that you have. So, uh, I see people do this all the time.
My
Incorrectly write the Strait of
one time,
Hormuz.
one time when I was doing voice to text, my voice to text wrote it hormones instead of Hormuz.
Yeah, I can believe it. I can believe it. I get spell check done wrong all the time. So, insignificance of the Strait of Hormuz. Yesterday morning, while we were talking, I didn't report that some ships have crossed the Strait of Hormuz outside of the Iranian traffic separation scheme, and they sort of knew they wouldn't be harassed. It was 4 cruise ships, and they went through a shallow area here through the SOH. Very, very shallow waters. But they weren't laden, they were empty, they ride high, so they ran that area. Jennifer said, set them straight. Yes, I did set them straight. Okay, come on. Check out the cruise ships and their high-speed run. They're generally much faster than oil tankers. So they went very close to the Musandam Peninsula, danger close, to tell you the truth, and they left the SOH. Every other ship, of course, went out according to the Iranian traffic separation scheme. So yay, cruise ships. And the Iranians are like, why are cruise ships there? Go. We're not going to make any money off of cruise ships. That being said, there has been some interesting analysis events that occurred over the last 24 hours. One, when we talked to you yesterday, we said that a ship was attacked by the IRGC. Its gunboats came back out and actually opened fire on these Indian ships. Uh, and I have the actual broadcast of them saying, "What are you doing? We went through the clearance procedure. We were ship number 2 on your list. Stop firing on us." And the IRGC is like, "Hey, yo, whatever. We got to keep up the practice." They attacked, the Iranians came out and opened fire on 2 ships. Now, I find this is interesting. Only with machine gun fire, no warning. Just came out, bop, 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 just to let everybody know who's boss. I find it fascinating that the Trump White House is calling this a ceasefire violation. Now, I don't recall. See, remember, yet you weren't on. I think I said it about Mario Nuafel's program, that when I was in Beirut as a young sailor, this is how I learned to deal with the Israelis. A guard, when they had their massive ceasefires between Hezbollah, all the militias, Israel, the Palestinians, and and the Syrian army.
Uh-huh.
The Israelis would always literally front load all their forces and poise on a spring, ready to break the ceasefire. And the joke was, Thomas Friedman wrote this, a Syrian soldier who falls asleep on his guard post and his gun accidentally discharges would unleash a 12-hour, multi-thousand round artillery bombardment of all of Lebanon by Israel. Israel was always waiting for one rifle shot. Two guys down at the pistol range zeroing their rifles. The Israelis would be like, fuck it, ceasefire's off, and boom, 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 boom. And they would move 10, 20 kilometers like this.
Oh my God.
Now, this is not a joke. This is true. This is how they did business. Trump sounds like he is preparing to do that. That he is preparing to come out and break the ceasefire, but I don't think he wants to. The New York Times, um, New York Times, put out a report. No, it was the Wall Street Journal put out a very deep dive analysis of how Trump got into this war, and it says he is desperate not to have this escalate any further. In fact, he said all of that talk about Karg Island and invading the southern islands terrified him, right? Because he said he doesn't want one more soldier to die past the number 13. Because as you recall, when Afghanistan was abandoned, 13 soldiers were killed in one incident. And if he gets 14, they'll say that he's worse than Joe Biden, right? Okay, more soldiers died under Trump in Trump year one of his first term than the 13 that have died in this war. But he is now mortified of U.S. having losses in this war. So they said he personally squashed the Karg Island thing, and he apparently learned something when he said all our soldiers will be when they sit there as sitting ducks. Apparently, he had listened to General Kane and not Pete Hegseth. So Trump is not looking to restart this war. If he does restart this war, it's because something's in there. Trump is Bibi's bitch. Okay. Yes. I'm sorry. I just read somebody's comment. Yes. Wajeeh.
I wanted to ask you, Center Command said yesterday that they have about 23 ships and the Gulf. Is that a lot? Is that too little? What does that
Actually,
mean?
they don't have 23 ships. What I read yesterday was Central Command said they've turned back 23 ships thus far in this blockade. We only have, I can count them, 6 frigates, 1 littoral combat ship, 4 amphibious ships. That's 11. Two of those destroyers, the Arleigh class destroyers, will not leave the company of the aircraft carrier. So that's technically 9, including the 2 helicopter carriers. And all they're going to do is they can fly aircraft over those ships and say, we see you, turn back on course, blah, blah, blah. The helicopter carriers will use helicopters to do visit board search and seizure. But thus far, even though Trump is saying he doesn't want that, Iran's saying that that's an act of war if they start seizing their oil. But the Wall Street Journal article is fascinating. They said Netanyahu talked him into the war. You guys should go look at it, see if there's a free copy on Twitter. But they say he is mortified. Oh, and like Putin, he thought Iran would collapse in the first 3 days to a week. He thought they would surrender, and he said the SOH, the Strait of Hormuz, wouldn't need to be opened because it wouldn't be closed because we would hit them so fast. That's what they assured him of, right? If I'm not mistaken, and I made some pretty heavy complaints about it on this show, it took about 3 weeks for them to start concentrating on the Iranian Navy. They were blasting everything else, and then it was like, "Oh yeah, Iranian Navy. Let's go hit that." And I'm like, "You what? You just started hitting the Iranian Navy now? 3 weeks into the war? I can't effing believe it. It's snowing outside. Oh God, I hate this place. Damn it. It was 70 degrees yesterday. Okay. Look at it, snowflakes. Anywho's, so that is what's going on there. So yesterday, the Iranians did um, used machine guns to send a message to two Indian tankers, and the Indians were quite surprised. But the purpose of this was to um, remind them, don't go outside the traffic separation scene. What it probably was is that those vessels probably were cleared, but not for that day. Or the Iranians were like, fuck it, we're going to send a message to you anyway.
Mm, mm.
So, not very interesting. Oh, by the way, here it is. Da-da-da-da-da. Okay, okay, I'm going to bring this down because I don't know if you can see that. There it is. You're going to hear the Iranian Navy broadcast that says this.
In Persian Gulf and open sea. This is Iranian Stephanie calling on channel 16. The Strait of Hormuz is still closed. We will open it by the order of our leader Imam Khomeini, not by the tweets of some idiot. If you want to pass through the strait, you must ask permission from Iranian Stephanie. All vessels that have a connection with our enemies will be targeted if they try to pass the Strait of Hormuz.
Let me give that part again.
The Strait of Hormuz is still closed. We will open it by the order of our leader Imam Khomeini, not by the tweets of some idiot.
We will open it by the order of our leader, Imam Khomeini, not by the tweets of some idiot. They broadcast this across the Persian Gulf. And I know if I was on a U.S. warship, I'd be laughing my ass off because we're generally bored on those ships. And anything fun is something that we grab onto, right? Not by the tweets of some idiot. So that pretty much tells you the status of the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz technically is open, but it is open because the IRGC is allowing it to open. So here are
Mm.
the spots
Wait,
where the attacks occurred in the SOH. This is a map from the Institute of the Study of War. Two vessels, one was transiting out. They shot him up with a couple of small boats and turned back. And one coming in, they shot at him. Maybe the vessels were moving too fast. They weren't heeding warnings. The IRGC needed to send an enforcement message. They were small boats with heavy machine guns. Now, my question is this. I have been hearing from all of these naval experts out there who are like, Malcolm, you suck at this. You were never an officer. You never did anything in the U.S. Navy. What would you know, as deep in Middle East intelligence person who has fought in the Persian Gulf? What would you know about this war? About the Iranian Navy capabilities. I've actually had chased those damn boats into a missile duel that led us into shooting down an aircraft and sinking a ship. Okay. We had swarms of those fucking small boats out there. The point is, have any of you heard the U.S. Navy claim or put out a video that they have sunk any of these small craft while they are at sea? No, you have not. We have not we have not attacked any of these small craft. And in fact, we lost an A-10 being shot down near Kashem Island because they were out chasing these small boats. And I'm constantly hearing how awesome our capability is. I will tell you what we are doing. We are staving off. We are holding off in the Gulf of Oman near Dibba because we are waiting for a political solution to that. It's one thing to say that you're blockading ships. It's another thing to run the Strait of Hormuz and to get into gun battles with Iranian ships because that would violate the what, Wajeeh? What would that violate?
ceasefire.
Ceasefire. So, oh my God. So pay no attention to these online experts out there who are
Oh,
all talking about how awesome it would be to fight the Iranians. We have the capability, our awesome Navy. We have not maybe 9 total ships that could actually engage in this war other than helicopters and visit board search and seizure teams. And we're not going to bring them into the Strait of Hormuz until it's safe or unless we go back into full-scale war and we want to run the minefields. Yes, Waj.
you know how much it will cost us to replace the AWACS that was destroyed?
No, how much? Halas. 1.2 billion.
Almost $1 billion. Yes.
Yeah.
Almost $1 billion. $1 billion. And
that was
that's
an
if there
aircraft.
was no mistake. If there was no mistake, if it went all, or if the project went smoothly.
Yeah. The problem is that that's a 50-year-old project in airframe. And Pete Hegseth last year canceled the replacement to the E3 AWACS called the E7 AWACS. And that didn't have a spinning dome with limited, with radar type visibility. It had a solid bar that would constantly project in every direction, and you would never miss anything in the radar sweep. Yeah, because Pete Hegseth, right? His buddies are probably giving him the payoff. Okay. In other news, the New York Times is reporting Iran claims that they have 40% of their pre-war drone arsenal. Let me tell you something. If you've been watching this program, about halfway, not even, maybe a third of the way of the war, I said, listen, this war, the U.S., we have the capability to destroy 50% of their arsenal. The Iranians aren't stupid. They will have hidden a lot. And I said, let's assume we destroyed 50% of the 88,000 drones that they had. So that would leave us with 44,000 drones. Let's assume that they fire off 10% of those drones. That's 4,400 drones. That would leave them with 38,000 drones. To give you an idea of how intelligence analysis does math, that's the exact number the New York Times is estimating they have 40% of their drone inventory. But they also believe that Iran is digging out its launchers for ballistic missiles, and that will give them as much as, wait for it, 70% of the ballistic missile launchers they had before the war. That means it's like we didn't have this war. 30% of their ballistic missile launchers gone is what they would probably lose in maintenance on any given month, right? You got to take them out. You got to put oil in them. You got to replace the tires. It's like we didn't even have a war. Yeah, it was fun. They said in the Wall Street Journal article, Wajeeh, they said that every morning they tried to fascinate Trump with the explosions by playing him this melange of explosion videos. And they led him to believe Iran had nothing. But I think he's stupid enough to believe that anyway. I don't think anyone had to talk him into anything. And he was just like, yeah, we kicked their ass. And now here we are. He thinks they have nothing. Now the New York Times is reporting they're digging out all their missiles, and 7 out of 10 launchers are still there, which means they're going to be cleaned, polished, repainted, right? They're going to be putting those fucking, Lego soldier stickers on the side, and they're going to be ready for the next round of this war.
Before anyone reported on Iran digging out their missiles, I have been shouting for 2 weeks that their bunkers are inside mountains, 500 meters deep, and their concrete can withstand 50,000 psi, and they already have the equipment to dig it out. And I explained how they already have
people keep saying they're going to be buying air defense equipment from China. They're going to be buying all this and that, weapons. No, they're not. I'm going to tell you who's going to make any money. Okay? I'm going to tell you who's going to make money. 2 groups of people. The people who can take concrete, broken concrete, and crush it back down into powder to be reused as concrete. People who can smelt, including people who can smelt iron bars. All of those industries, well, no, the second industry is people with backhoes and excavators, right? Everybody who's got a dump truck, everyone who's got an excavator, everyone who's got a backhoe is going to be making big money in Iran. They're going to go to that IRGC building, level that spot. And what we're going to do is we're going to recover all that concrete, and they're going to turn that into indigenously remade bags of concrete, right? And then they're going to get all that rebar and they're going to melt it down. So scrap metal of old tanks and airplanes, all that, there's going to be good money out of that, right? And then they're going to bring out those giant Chinese digging machines again, the ones that dug out all those underground complexes, and everything's going underground in the next 5 years. There will not be an Iranian missile system out in the open. I would never put anything out in the open ever again, right? I would put maybe some radars so that the Americans can feel good. They got some old Russian radars, right? But everything else would be down in the ground. Speaking of which, this photograph, the United States is repositioning all of its surface-to-air missiles in Jordan because every one of those missile batteries was hit by drones or ballistic missiles. That's the Patriot and the THAAD missile launcher. If you guys recall, this radar, that $1 billion radar right there, was destroyed by a $20,000 drone. They have replaced it. That one's from South Korea. They've replaced it. You can see the missile launchers are there in place, but this is a temporary camp that has been set up somewhere completely different in the desert. If we can see it on Google Earth, you guys can see it too. And here's one of the new THAAD ballistic missile launch places. So this is the primary protection for Jordan, and Israel. It comes from those ballistic missile launchers. Okay, that's all we really have on the military side of things. Now I want to talk one last thing before we take a couple of questions. Waj, I know you want to talk a little bit about your article, but Donald Trump did a very weird thing last night. Weirder than normal. And I'm going to let you all decide what you think of it. I have some very, very, very strong thoughts about this, and they're happy thoughts. But, all I know is this. After watching this video that I'm going to show you, I want you all to figure out, one, all I want you to do is think about what you're going to wear and what you're going to drink. Right? See if you can figure out what I'm talking about. Donald Trump tweeted this in the middle of the night last night. And for those of you who can figure it out, that is Frank Sinatra, of course. And I want you to watch this tweet that he put out now 9:30 p.m. last night on a Saturday night. He's sitting there, I don't know. And he puts this out, and all of Twitter and the political world is aflame about this video. Watch. End is near, and so I face. Too soon?
You're missing some orange juice in that.
Oh no, raw. Now, let me start with a cogent political analysis. What the fuck? Wajeeh, any thoughts?
I think the dude is depressed and he needs a therapist.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you say something? I was pre-celebrating.
Wow.
Oh no, there'll be no mimosas in this house. It's like, what did I just watch? But the key phrase in that message was this one. Hold on. Yeah, well,
والله من جد خلاص ما في.
The end is near. Okay. And you know what's really funny is that got like That got like 100,000 likes or something on Truth Social. It's like, wait. Okay, come on, Wajeeh. What do you think is happening here?
You know,
I know what I think is happening.
in my own opinion, it could be a few things. One thing, Melania is not in the White House. He's feeling lonely and sad, and no one is talking to him, and he's feeling very depressed, and he sees no future for his life. And, he's like, oh, it's the end. Or he's very sick and he is dying. Or, someone is threatening him. You don't know. With his mind, it could be a billion things. I don't. At this point, I am lost with his thoughts. I'm only guessing.
Well, I first off, the reason that I'm doing this, we're talking about that video, is this could impact negotiations dramatically,
Hmm.
right? It could impact them dramatically. If Trump is dropping a message that he is ill, he is more ill than he's let on, and that he may be terminally ill, and that he is now understanding his mortality. Somebody had better clear this shit up, because one, I don't want JD Vance in there. But two, look, I just got to warn. I'll just explain this to you guys. This is not the good champagne. This is Nicolas Fleury. And I got Veuve Clicquot Le Grand Dames set aside for the eventuality. And my dance out song is September by Earth, Wind, and Fire. So, but the analysis of this is, there's people just like, what the hell? Is he dying? So it's bizarre. So I don't think it has anything to do with Iran. I think it has nothing to do with Iran. And there's a lot of people, I'm looking like Harry Sisson and others, they're all like, are we getting ready to go to war? And it's like the end is near, and so I faced the final curtain. And, is he dying? Is he ready to step down? Is he trolling us? That's a good analysis, right? And I find it fascinating that people are just posting the video, and like no one wants to say anything about this. It's pretty clear. The message is, and now the end is near, and trying to explain I did it my way. Here's the problem. He has to steal from Frank Sinatra for his outro message.
Hey. I have to put some thoughts into this, man.
Okay. While you're putting thoughts into that, let's go to questions. Because like I said, we wanted today to be a short day. I want to let all of you go out and find a mimosa and do your, pick out your clothes and set aside whatever beverage of your choice is, just in case. All right. But absolutely fascinating stuff right there. That was the big political tweet last night that everybody has been talking about. Let me see. T-Mobile says, T-Mobile. I don't even want to talk about T-Mobile. For those of you who are worried about my little issue with T-Mobile was nice enough to have their executive program person contact me and tell me there was nothing they could do, and gave me 30 days to go find a new provider, which was nice of them. Okay, they're going to lose thousands, but they don't care because they're a big corporation, right? Okay, Mary E says, Malcolm, when you began these daily updates, were you pretty sure you would still be sharing info on day 52?
Oh my God.
Because the commander-in-chief declared this excursion over and done with, over and over again. I actually thought we'd be going further than this.
Yeah.
But when I started getting the intelligence analysis that the global economy was going to break in like 2 weeks. That's when Trump put the brakes on this. He got these numbers, and people, his biggest, richest friends were like, hey, this whole thing could collapse. Got to stop this. And that's why he started looking for an off ramp. And the blockade was his chest thumping. I'm a man. Let's get off while we do negotiations. B. Wiring says, do ships that navigate the Strait of Hormuz use or need pilots? They don't. It's a deep waterway. They only need pilots when they come into the harbors. Mark Schutner says, are the crews of the tankers going to be able to gamble on those cruise ships and see floor shows? At least they'll have good food on those ships. Yeah, because they're empty. So, and floor show group people have to keep practicing. I think a lot of those people were probably flown off. Malcolm, the littoral combat ship is pronounced littoral, not literal. I know. And I always spell it the littoral combat ship, Littoral, which means inshore, close inshore, and it still sucks, which is why the U.S. Navy is retiring all of them except 4. And of those 4, 3 were assigned to the Persian Gulf. And of those 3, 2 of them had to leave right after the war started and go to Singapore because they were broke. And then the one that was there had to hide out in the Seychelles and Diego Garcia in southern India because they didn't have the vessel is not capable of sustaining itself for very long periods of time. Did I mention that these 3 ships were our minesweepers? And for 52 days, none of them were in the theater of conflict. And now we're sending back 2 minesweepers from Japan that were the exact same class as the 4 that they took out of Bahrain and decommissioned.
Oh my God.
It sucks. I don't even want to talk about minesweeping. What are the Rangers and Special Forces doing during the blockade, according to Bluestein? PT. So good. All right. I could sing the whole PT song. You can make it, you can take it. Okay, and they're at range and practicing their tactical skills. That's all they're doing. No, I don't have any problems crossing in or out of the border recently. Thank you, Tigray. Tigray, from Tigray. That's the area between Ethiopia and Eritrea. Vladinator breaking. Trump just said the negotiations are Iran's last chance. See, this always happens. Wajeeh, we end the show and he starts talking. All right? And guess what? I have learned to ignore whatever he says between now and his next tweet of Frank Sinatra. He'll have the freaking Village People on next.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I mean,
Okay.
like the guy sleeps maybe 2 hours or 3 hours.
Roger Helbig says the E-7 Advanced Early Warning and Control aircraft has a phased array radar that's fixed. It's a long thing, and it puts out energy and detects everything. It's brilliant, state of the art. Why did Pete Hegseth cancel it? Because he a dick. And that's the guy who apparently is doing a lot of inside politics. And the E3 Sentry is 50 years old. And even though the radar is very good, it is not as good as the E7 that was going to replace it. But there you have it. They're going to be like, E7 program, restart it right now. What's the cost of the 13 bases the Iran has put out of commission? Well, most of those were actually foreign bases, but I'm sure it'll rack up in the billions. That was from Alleged Confusion. That's a cool name. Alleged
Here's
Confusion sounds like a great operation name. Operation Alleged Confusion.
uh it sounds like a good psych operation. The interesting thing about the bases, especially in the GCC, the United States did not invest much in making these bases protective, especially for their airplane hangars. And we have lost very important airplanes just because we have not reinforced these infrastructures for the military. So we cut costs in the past, and it has resulted in us losing a couple of airplanes. Or in addition to not losing, we could have salvaged some of the planes, for making it easier for us to fix, rather than losing the whole plane. But unfortunately, they cut cost and they didn't focus on building or protecting their soldiers in the GCC camps.
Yep. Someone asked for me to play the Kash Patel video on Lego. I'm not going to do that. Go to Twitter or go onto YouTube and just put in Kash Patel Lego video. It's hilarious. First off, the eyes that they put on it are just hilarious. Big bug eyes. Kash Patel with strippers and Secret Service. There's actually 2 Kash Patel videos that you can go check. They're pretty funny. That being said, the last thing that we have is, let me ask the last questions. What are the odds? This is from Jeff Jones. What are the odds that Iran reiterates its demand to remove Kushner and Witkoff from the negotiation? We'll see. We'll see what happens. But Trump is desperate for an off ramp. I really cannot believe it.
Trump said that next negotiation he could attend himself.
He said he might attend it himself and sing My Way live on a karaoke machine. Right? Okay. Debbie Gonzalez says, we're all waiting for the big, beautiful obituary. I don't know, Debbie. Cheers. That was actually grape juice, apple juice. So anyway, do you think Trump thinks the uranium dust came from the bunker busters destroying the uranium? Yes, like immigrants from insane asylums are seeking asylum are from insane asylums. He just mixes it up. Yes, the answer to that is yes.
I love how everyone just picked up nuclear dust.
Yeah. Okay, we did it. 45 minutes. Let's all go have a nice Sunday off. Waj, we'll see you tomorrow. I will be coming from the writing office of my home and avoiding this light snow that has begun. And and then we will see whether my way leads to an announcement. I don't know, but seems like somebody's looking for it. Be sure to go watch those 2 Lego Kash Patel videos. All right, guys, see you all tomorrow. This time, Jacob is in Kyiv, so it'll just me and Wajeeh. Yes, Waj.
If you're watching this from YouTube, make sure to come to Substack and subscribe to Malcolm Nance. You are watching a recording. Also, why not subscribe to his channel on YouTube as well? He's giving you amazing content.
That's
He's
right.
coming out with a whole bunch of episodes with a lot of creators and a lot of different news channels. If you want to be updated, he's a guy you got to go to.
Listen to this dude. So, all right. Thank you very much. Be sure to like, subscribe, especially myself and Wajeeh, on malcolmnance.substack.com. Become a paid subscriber. I'd appreciate it. We had like 7 yesterday. That would be all. You guys are awesome. And we're going to talk more about the bennies to doing that. So go have a nice Sunday off. Do not watch this anymore. But if you want to watch that My Way video, you have my permission. Okay, take care, Waj. We'll see you tomorrow.
Have a good one, my friend.
Bye-bye, guys. Bye.